When I first met my Spanish wife, Yoly, I spoke zero Spanish.
I can testify for that.
My Spanish was so bad, I even complimented her mother on her private parts. But after 8 years in Spain, my Spanish is a whole lot better now, but it hasn't been easy. So I wanted to share with you guys my Spanish language journey and to give you guys some tips, some hints, things that I wish I'd known, things that I've learned along the way that will hopefully help you with your Spanish language learning journey. And Yoly, you're going to give some tips as well, right?
Absolutely, because, well, I'm an English learner, so I'm going to give you all my tips as well.
It all applies to learning languages. So venga, let's go. So Yoly, to kind of figure out our language learning journey or my language learning journey, why don't we just clarify kind of how we met? Because it was a bit of a weird language ride. So where did we meet?
We met in Toulouse, which is France. So we actually spoke French during the first year of our relationship.
Bad French on my part. Yoly's French was very good.
A little better. And then we switched to English, and then, well, now we speak a bit of a mix.
We do speak a lot of Spanish. I speak Spanish, but I work a lot in English. That's one of the challenges for me. At Devour Tours, our company language is English. So, I'm not constantly speaking Spanish. So I get often messages from people on Instagram or on YouTube, and they're curious about how I've learned Spanish, what my experience has been. So we're going to go through kind of 8 tips or 8 steps that have been really important realizations for me in learning Spanish. And we'll also be sharing a bunch of tools, apps, and websites that I've found helpful in my Spanish learning journey, and also that people in the Spain Revealed community have recommended to me. I'm going to make sure all those links are below in the description. And also, because there's a lot of information in this video, I've written a blog post to accompany it. So if you go to spainrevealed.com/learn Spanish, you'll find a blog post that accompanies this video and has all the information we're talking about. Okay, so empezamos?
Empecemos.
I hate the subjunctive. Tip number 1. Find someone to talk to. Look, when we decided 8 years ago, we're living in New Zealand, we were going to move back to Spain or move to Spain, I said to Yoly, okay, we need to speak in Spanish. I had very little Spanish at that point. You can read, you can listen to things, but I think it's really important to start having a conversation with someone really early on, even if you don't have much vocabulary yet. It brings the culture to life, it brings the language to life, it makes it real, it motivates you, and it also provides some accountability because in the end, you're speaking to someone, you have to be able to communicate with them.
I had no one to, talk to, so, I started learning English when I was 8 years old, and so there was no English speakers around whatsoever. It would have been a great help.
So there's 3 different ways to really go about, starting to talk to someone. Way number 1 is that you can meet a person like I met Yoly, meet your wife.
Meet your wife, for example.
Meet, fall in love with someone, have a relationship. Obviously there's not an option for everyone, and it's a bit of a silly one, but that was what worked for me. I didn't meet Yoly because I wanted to learn Spanish.
Well, we'll see about that.
But we have met people who have been in a relationship. He's from Australia, she's from Spain, and I think one of the things is often they don't correct each other. That's a really important thing, right?
Yeah, it's really, really key that you correct each other. Don't worry, it's not going to be offensive or anything like that. I mean, I guess that also depends on every couple. But yeah, it's good to correct, so don't be afraid. They're gonna be appreciative of correction. So Sometimes I can correct a little bit too much, and I remember James used to tell me, just let me speak.
But I appreciate now, when we first started learning Spanish, I would say, ¿Dónde está? And Yoly would say, ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? And I was like, let me speak. But now I say it correctly. So thank you, Yoly. People compliment me on my Spanish, and I always say, my teacher. So another way to really achieve this is through intercambios, we say in Spanish, or conversation exchanges. There's actually a website called conversationexchange.com, and it's free. And you can have conversation exchanges with people, so with Spanish speakers. Obviously, it's free, but if you have an hour of conversation, you're gonna have to speak English for half the time because they're learning English, and then they will speak to you in Spanish. So you're paying with your time. And they're not necessarily teachers. They're just people, well, they're not teachers, they're just people who wanna, learn the language generally. But, we've had friends who have actually met their partner through that way.
There you go, yeah. It's actually a tool of love.
It's a tool of, exactly. So, anyway, that's another option. Conversationexchange.com is a free website where you can go and have those exchanges. Now, there's a third option within this, start talking to people, and that's actually taking conversation classes. I've never had conversation classes that I've paid for because I don't pay Yoly to talk to her. Thank God, that would be very expensive because the conversation is great. But I reached out to the Spain Reveal community to see what tools people have used or what websites, because there's a whole lot of them to sign up for conversation classes. And there were two that they recommended. Those were italki and Live Lingua. So those were the most common recommended ones. And so amongst the sea of conversation class websites, where I feel like there's a million of them, those are two that have come recommended. Those are great because obviously you have to pay for them, but you're paying for a professional teacher.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you're paying. So you're gonna learn a lot faster than just doing like a conversation exchange. So those two websites linked below, check them out if you wanna start having conversation classes, and start speaking straight away. Okay, tip number 2. Know what kind of language learner you are. Now, this one was important for me, and it took me a while to realize when I hear a word, a Spanish word, a new Spanish word, it doesn't stick for some reason in my mind. But when I see a Spanish word, it sticks. It's like I need to see the word to learn it. Now, obviously, hearing it helps reinforce it, etc., but I really need to see the word. So I have learned over time that I am a visual learner rather than an auditory learner. And that's been really important because I've shaped my language learning around that. What one are you, Yoly?
Well, I'm quite the opposite. I'm an auditory learner. So I've learned so much through listening to music, listening to like the Beatles, Bob Dylan, or like the Smashing Pumpkins, you know. So a lot of listening, a lot of singing as well. So I guess through speaking a little bit too, right? And also a lot of shows that I've seen, talk shows like Conan O'Brien's, you know, trying to just get the jokes. That was like, you know, a real challenge, really.
Because for me, the idea of music, it doesn't help me at all, right? The idea of learning through music for me is like, no, I need to see the word.
Yeah.
Essentially, we actually fell in love listening to the Beatles. That was like our first album that we fell in love with. We didn't fall in love listening to Conan O'Brien, but we both like Conan O'Brien.
It would be weird.
Yeah, I'm a visual learner, and so I make sure every second book that I read is in Spanish. And here's the extra thing. I make sure they're not hard texts in Spanish. I'm not reading like some obscure or some difficult political book. I'm reading books that are easy for me and that are enjoyable for me. So I love like thrillers and police novels. So I read this guy, Montalban. He is a famous Spanish, he's dead now, but a famous Spanish thriller writer, and he has all these books of this private detective, I think it's private detective, Carvalho, I'm probably saying that wrong, Galician name, and it's great. They're enjoyable, they're interesting, and I learn a lot when I'm reading them. Also, the main character is really into food, so I love those. So figure out what kind of language learner you are. If you're not sure, just listen to your body, just kind of feel, do the words stick when you hear them or read them? Really important. Okay, tip number 3, and this is an important one for people like me, or people who are watching this channel and are interested about Spanish culture, but you don't want to go back to school. You don't want learning language to be academic. So you have to make it a non-academic experience. You have to make it kind of a living experience. And so I think you have to find all these different ways to work it into your daily life. You know, I listen to the news in Spanish. We always put the subtitles on when we're watching Spanish films. If I'm reading something about Spain or anything, you know, sometimes it'd be easy to read it in Wikipedia in English, but I make sure I'm reading Wikipedia in Spanish, and I think that's really, really important to make it a non-academic experience and make it fun.
Very committed.
Very committed. Have you, I mean, how was that for you? You were learning in an academic way.
Yeah, very much.
But did you add on?
Yeah, exactly. So I've had like 2 stages really, like one that was very academic, and then, you know, more kind of integrating it into my life. So even nowadays, I still leave the house and I just listen to podcasts on the metro, or favorite shows, always in English, of course, with subtitles.
And something that I've found really helpful in the last sort of 6 months or so is a tool called Coffee Break Spanish. Now, this was a recommendation from a couple of people through Instagram who follow me, and we're talking about how they're learning Spanish. And this is a great tool and series of courses for people who don't want an overly academic approach. So effectively what it is, they have courses from total zero beginner right up to advanced, and they're really interesting audios that have recurring characters, that tell stories, that have different segments, have pieces in English so to make sure you're understanding. I guess what's different from Conan O'Brien is that Conan O'Brien is not teaching a language point, right? He's just making jokes. Whereas these audios are actually, each one revolves around the language point. So while it feels non-academic and they're kind of fun, interesting audios to listen to, you're actually learning something. And each audio comes with transcript and it comes with bonus material for comprehension. So what I do to work that into my life is for Coffee Break Spanish, I download the audios. I listen to the audios when I'm jogging or when I'm cleaning the house or when I'm doing the dishes. And then I go back and I read through the transcript and listen to the audio again, because remember, visual learner. And that really helps instill it. And then I go through some of the extra exercises and I'll make sure I'm doing the more advanced course, but I'm doing hard things like subjunctive, things like that. Obviously at the beginning, you're just learning to say hello. So I found that really, really helpful. So if you want to learn more about Coffee Break Spanish, I found it helpful. I think a lot of people in the community do. More information in the description below and in that SpainRevealed.com/learn Spanish. Okay, so this next one might feel a little bit banal, but bear with us. So always carry a dictionary with you. Now, we'll explain, because you don't actually have to carry a book around with you. I don't know, you've got your one here. Do you want to show the lovely people?
Beautiful dictionary. So actually, I should explain that I'm a translator. So I studied translation and interpreting in university in Aranjuez. So every single morning I would go there carrying a couple of these, actually.
Times have changed,
Times
though, right?
have changed, fortunately.
Fortunately for your back. So here's the thing, always carry a dictionary. And when I say that nowadays, I mean carry a dictionary app. Let me tell you the app I use. It's a free app, it's really helpful. It's called Spanish Dict. Now you have to be careful when you're saying that word, because it could come out wrong. Spanish Dict, I don't know why it's called Spanish Dict, D-I-C-T. Or maybe it's dictionary and it just cuts it off on my screen. I don't know, I think it's called Spanish Dict. I'll link below. And how I use it is, if I'm reading my book and I don't know a word, I'll look it up. I'll look up the word. Also, if I'm going to a conversation or I'm going to walk into something and I know it could be a little challenging, imagine I'm going to speak to the accountant or I'm going to give a presentation in Spanish. I'll be thinking about it and I'll be thinking, oh, I don't know that word, so I will look it up quickly on the
word is
app.
always trámites, don't worry.
Trámites, yeah. Oh my God, that's a cultural concept, trámites. We'll leave that for another video. But I think the thing with Spanish Dict, which I really like, is that it isn't just a dictionary. They have pronunciation audios. They have some videos I've seen as well. They have word of the day, which is amazing. You just get a notification each day with a word that actually revolves around something that's happening in the year. So the other day I learned a new word, which is copo de nieve.
Aww.
So beautiful. What does copo de nieve mean, Yoly?
Snowflake.
Snowflake.
Aww.
It was Christmas, it's winter, and so now I know copo de nieve. And of course I saw it, so I learned it. The other thing that's really helpful about this dictionary, it has little articles about really common Spanish grammar points, like por, para, soy, estoy. I hate por and para. I almost hate it as much as the subjunctive. What did you hate, or what do you hate in English, Yoly?
Oh, when I was learning, I remember in university, irregular verbs. Oh no, like to read, read.
What? What is hard about that?
Well, it's you actually spell it the same way, which drove me crazy. To read, read. What is that?
To read, read.
Yeah.
You mean like read?
The past.
The past, okay.
Past and past participle.
Yeah, okay.
See,
as native English speakers, we don't even know what you're talking about.
No. And then also getting the S sound right, this and the sh and the that.
I don't know that last one. I must get that wrong as well. So, download Spanish Dict, and that's a really great app, I promise you. So number 5, and I learned about this one online. I think it's kind of interesting. It's a bit of a hack, and I hate hacks. It's a little like Murphy said, a shortcut is the longest distance between 2 points. So hacks are maybe not as helpful as you might think they are. But the idea is that you should look up and make sure you know the 100 most commonly used words in Spanish, because they make up 50% of spoken Spanish or written Spanish. And I think this is an interesting thing. I'm going to link to the page below that shows these 100 words, and you could learn them. It's not as impactful as it might seem initially, because there's words like el, la, por, para. But I think that's really interesting because these words are actually a little bit deceptively simple, right? Because por and para, as we know, is really confusing. Which one do I use when? And so it drives you to then say, hey, do I really understand por? Yeah, okay, for. But do I really know how to use it? So I don't know, what do you think of this as you're a linguist?
Well, as a linguist, it sort of amazes me that it would be so simple. Like 100 words, 50% really. But then, of course, you think about it and it's like, well, it kind of makes sense. So there are studies supporting it. Hey,
I don't know if there's studies. I mean, I was on a blog, but obviously, these words are important. So
show me the studies.
Yeah, you need to look up the English one and see if you know all the words.
Yeah. I need to check it out and see. It would be pretty disappointing if I don't.
Discombobulated is one of the 100 most.
I'm sure.
Yeah. No, but check that out. So 100 most common words in Spanish. See if you know them all, or see what you're missing, and then you can dive in and learn. Okay, number 6. you need to immerse yourself in the language at some point in a really real way. And it pretty much means you need to go to the place. Let me give you my experience of this. So we're living in New Zealand, we're gonna move back to Spain, and it's like, I start learning Spanish. We start speaking in Spanish, conversation. I'm reading my books, well, I wasn't reading this guy yet, upside down. I read it the right way, I promise. But it was still a little bit theoretical, right? But finally when we visited Spain or moved here, suddenly it came alive. Suddenly it wasn't so much language, it was a culture that I was learning. And I think this is really, really important. It keeps your motivation up by visiting a place. Be curious to know if you guys find this, if you're kind of learning Spanish when you visit, say, Mexico, you visit Spain, does it really kind of reconnect you with the reason you're learning it in the first place? And speaking Spanish in New Zealand with Yoly is one thing, but walking into a tapas bar in Madrid, that's a whole nother thing. So really you need to immerse yourself. What was your experience of this, Yoly?
Well, for me, it was actually key to immerse myself. So my first trip to England, I went...
How old were you?
I was 15 years old. And so I went to Southport, Northwest England. And I spent a month there and it was amazing. You learn so much, so fast. You also have to brace for a few bumps, a lot of confusing moments, misunderstandings. I remember actually just arriving in Southport and the ladies picked me up, the ones that were going to be my host family for a month. They picked me up at the bus station and we're driving to the house and the lady who's driving is telling me about the lady sitting next to her.
Lots of ladies.
Only two ladies. and she's saying, she's my daughter. But daughter, I don't know, with an northern Western England accent, sounded like doctor. And so I started thinking, oh my God, she must be so ill. She's driving around with her doctor. So, and then, maybe 2 days later, I realized
you realized
it was her daughter.
The live-in doctor. I love that story. And look, realistically, you don't have to necessarily visit a place. Maybe you haven't got the time or the money to do that yet. Even just joining some sort of Spanish language meetup where there's actually Spanish native speakers there.
Spanish community.
Spanish community. Go to your local Spanish tapas bar and talk to the waiter or waitress. I remember learning French, and I would go to the Alliance Française, and they would have like breakfast, and everyone would be eating their croissants and things like that, and speaking French. And there were French learners, petit déjeuner, and there were also French people who lived in New Zealand there. So you can find in your own country these ways to kind of immerse yourself for a couple of hours in the culture, face to face with people, and revolve it around food or having a drink. So immerse yourself in the culture as soon as possible and keep doing it. It'll keep you excited about it. Number 7, be at peace with discomfort. Get uncomfortable. So you've decided to take a trip to Spain or to Mexico or Colombia or wherever you're going to go. As an English speaker, it is really easy to speak English all the time. I've met people who have lived in Madrid for 10 years and hardly speak Spanish, because there's such a big English speaking community. So it's really easy, if you're on holiday, you talk to the person in the hotel, the person in the tapas bar, if you're in a big city, in English, or you can get by in English. So if you've got some Spanish, you really need to push yourself, you need to make yourself uncomfortable, and you need to start using it. As I say, when I moved here, suddenly the culture came alive, it became a cultural experience learning it. I'd walk into those tapas bars giving tapas tours, and it was so much noise, but I had to speak, and I felt like an idiot half the time. I felt uncomfortable, but you've got to push through that. You've got to get over yourself, right? Like
Absolutely.
You in Southport and the doctor.
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. So you will make mistakes. You might feel silly, but you won't sound silly. Just put yourself in the other person's shoes, and they're thinking, wow, this person is making like this real effort. So it's admirable, and you will come across as actually outgoing and like really sort of smart. You're like, trying to explain things in a tongue that is not native to you.
I know when I've spoken to people who are learning a new language and they've spoken to me in English and they're still learning, I don't think they're silly. Yeah, of course they're going to make mistakes. They weren't born in that language. They have a whole other language I don't speak that they speak.
Yeah.
But I think, wow, good for them. They're really trying to do it. So you have to kind of put yourself, as you say, in that listener's shoes, and that will get you over that feeling of discomfort.
Just imagine that everyone is naked around you anyway.
That's another way. So let me tell you a story about discomfort that I experienced to kind of, show you that you can kind of get through anything. So when we first met, Yoly and I, remember I spoke zero Spanish, and we were going to go and visit her parents for the first time. I was going to meet her parents for the first time. I was very nervous, and it was her mother's birthday. So I wanted to say happy birthday in Spanish. And so on the bus ride to their house in Alcorcón here in Madrid, I was practicing feliz cumpleaños, feliz cumpleaños, feliz cumpleaños, repeating it. I've got it. Walk in the door, and I say to her mother, feliz cumpleaños. Now, años, feliz cumpleaños means years. Feliz cumpleaños doesn't mean anything, but año means anus. So you can imagine, right? But get over it. It was horrible. I kind of didn't even realize what I was saying. Everyone got nervous. We had a laugh. So go through discomfort. Even if you comment on your mother-in-law's anus, how much worse can it get, right? So just when you walk into that tapas bar and you're like, I'm gonna order the beer in Spanish, just think, it can't get worse than that. Okay, so tip number 8. Learning a language is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and there will be peaks and troughs, and be at peace with that. So to give you some context on how it's been for me, I go through phases with my Spanish. I go through moments where I feel like I'm really on top of it, I've got it, yes. And then 2 weeks later, I feel like a complete idiot and I just can't speak and it's horrible.
It's 2 weeks, huh? 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, they're literally, it goes like that. For me, at the beginning, 10 years ago or 12 years ago when I first met your parents. Whenever it was, back in the mists of time, I couldn't say, and I got stressed about feliz cumpleaños. And now I can say that. I don't worry about that anymore. I mean, I worry a little bit sometimes because I feel like I'm scarred from that experience. But now, I've got that covered. Now I worry about the subjunctive, which I go through phases of using too much or not enough, which apparently is very common. Let us know if that happens to you as well. As you get better at the language, it just gets harder in a way. You try and tackle harder things. So you're always kind of going like this. And so don't get discouraged if you're going through a trough, even if it lasts longer than 2 weeks, right? Is that, you've been learning language a lot longer than me, Yoly, so you can speak to a marathon. You can speak about a marathon, right?
Absolutely. I started learning English when I was 8 years old. I'm 36 years old now. So it is a long, long stretch. I'm still learning. Every single day I learn new words. James is correcting me still.
Actually, you tell me off because I don't correct you as much as you correct me.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, that was wrong, wasn't it? And why didn't you correct me?
I get in trouble because 5 minutes ago I didn't correct the... complicated.
Yeah, no, well, so... Yeah, it's a process, a long process, so don't feel frustrated. You might feel frustrated at times, but just keep at it.
And if in doubt and you have no idea what the person is saying, just nod, smile, and change the subject to something that you can speak about. I'm really good at that. Check the description below for links to all the tools that we've talked about here, and also go to spainrevealed.com/learnspanish for the full blog post with all the information that we've talked about, all the links to everything. Good luck with your Spanish learning journey.
Buena suerte.
And we'll see you in the next video. Hasta luego. Ciao.